Picture this, a number 9 coming off the best year of his career, and a club that wants someone else instead. That's Barcelona's situation right now. Ferran Torres scored 27 goals in 2025, more than any other Spanish player managed that year. Hansi Flick picked him first, ahead of Robert Lewandowski, ahead of everyone else in that squad. Barcelona keeps fighting for Julián Álvarez. A €500 million release clause stands in the way. A rival club refuses to sell. Every week brings a new public statement and a new headline. Why does a club chase a striker it doesn't need? I'm not doing another transfer rumor roundup. I want to show you what Alvarez does on a pitch, how he thinks, how he moves, what happens to the players standing next to him. Once you understand that, the Ferran Torres question stops making sense the way most people ask it. Before I get into it, subscribe and turn on notifications if you want more breakdowns like this one. There's a part almost nobody says out loud. Barcelona might not want Alvarez to replace their number 9 at all. They might not want him to play like one. Start with this. At 11 years old, Alvarez trained with Real Madrid and scored twice in a 5-match youth tournament. The club wanted to sign him. FIFA's age rules blocked the move on a technicality, and Real Madrid let him walk away. He went home to Argentina. He joined River Plate at 15. He chose the club he supported as a boy, the club that shared his hometown colors. 4 years later, he made his senior debut under Marcelo Gallardo. Weeks after that, he lifted the Copa Libertadores as a substitute in the final against Boca Juniors. By the time he left for Manchester City in 2022, he had scored 54 goals in 122 appearances. He'd helped River win 6 trophies. At City, he never started as the main striker. Erling Haaland held that job. At Atletico Madrid, where he has played since 2024, he shares the front line with Antoine Griezmann and Alexander Sørloth. In 8 years of professional football, Julián Álvarez has almost never played as the lone man up top. That's not a gap in his resume. It might be the entire reason Barcelona wants him. That flexibility is where the pattern starts to matter. Look at how many different jobs he has done. Under Marcelo Gallardo at River, coaches asked the young striker to press like his career depended on it. At River, he once scored 6 goals in a single Copa Libertadores match, a mark almost no other player in the competition's history can claim. Under Pep Guardiola at City, he became a rotational forward who adapted to whatever gap opened up. He has played as a central striker, a second striker, a wide forward, and a false 9, often within the same season. Some nights he played wide. Some nights he came off the bench with 20 minutes to change a game. Under Diego Simeone at Atletico, his touches on the ball dropped compared to his City days. He went from around 53 touches per 90 minutes down to roughly 44. His impact on matches didn't shrink. It changed shape. He became a transition weapon instead of a possession orchestrator. He played for 3 coaches across 3 completely different systems. Each time, he refused to force his old role into a new team. Instead, he rebuilt his game around what that team needed. Watch him closely and you notice something. He doesn't play like a typical goal poacher. He drops into midfield to receive the ball under pressure. He drifts into the half spaces between the fullback and the center back, the exact pockets defenses hate to track. He curls finishes into the top corner from outside the box. He turns in a low cross at the near post with the same ease. He also links play in tight combinations, laying the ball off first time and sprinting into the space he leaves behind. Against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League, he came off the bench and scored a stunning winner from the edge of the box in stoppage time. Against Real Madrid, he curled a free kick into the top corner from the edge of the area. The distances differ, the techniques differ, the finishing stays cold every time. This season at Atletico, he produced 20 goals and 9 assists. He did it while spending more of his game further from goal than a traditional striker would. Some data trackers place him in the 99th percentile among forwards for defensive actions. That means almost nobody at his position presses, tackles, and recovers the ball as often as he does. That's not hustle for its own sake. He knows exactly when to hunt the ball and when to hold position and let the space do the work. What's strange is this: a player this complete has carried the backup label for almost his entire career. Real Madrid passed on him at 11. Lautaro Martinez started ahead of him heading into the 2022 World Cup. Haaland started ahead of him at City. Every time the door opened, no matter how briefly, he didn't sulk. He didn't wait around for someone to hand him a bigger role. He worked. That kind of patience is rare in a sport built around egos and starting lineups. And this is the part that matters for Barcelona. Look at what happens to the players players next to him once he steps on the pitch. At that World Cup, his relentless running off the ball gave Messi something rare at that stage of his career: real rest inside matches. Alvarez did the chasing, which let Messi save his legs for the moments that decided games. Against Croatia in the semi-final, he chased down a ball that looked lost, forced a mistake, and scored a goal that looked impossible until he made it look simple. That's the same instinct Barcelona hopes to import. At Atletico, people around the club describe his partnership with Griezmann as a mind and an engine. Griezmann drops deep to dictate rhythm. Alvarez supplies the runs and the pressing that turned Griezmann's vision into actual goals. His chemistry with Enzo Fernandez carried straight through from River Plate into the Argentina national team. He built that chemistry across 3 different teams in 3 different countries. The pattern kept repeating. Alvarez doesn't only score, he makes the player next to him better. That exact pattern is about to answer the Ferran Torres question. If this breakdown is teaching you something new, tap subscribe. It helps this channel keep making them. This is the real answer to the Ferran Torres question. Reports from inside the club describe what Flick wants. He wants a forward who can drop deep to combine, drift wide to create overloads, and press aggressively from the front. Flick wants unpredictability in the attack, not only goals on the score sheet. That's a different job description than the one Ferran Torres holds. Torres builds his game around penalty box efficiency and getting on the end of moves other people create. Some analysts push back on the fit. They point out that Alvarez has never played as a true lone central striker. He has always played alongside a partner, first Haaland, then Griezmann or Surloth. That's a reasonable question, but it might rest on the wrong assumption. Some analysts call him a positional chameleon, a forward who can occupy any space on the front line without needing the ball in the same spot twice. Yamal and Raphinha both like to run at defenders from wide areas. A predictable number 9 crowds that space. A forward who constantly moves creates it instead. That's the tactical logic behind the pursuit, regardless of how settled the numbers on paper might look at center forward. Barcelona doesn't appear to be chasing a second Ferran Torres. They're chasing a completely different chess piece. This one rotates through the front line alongside Lamine Yamal and Raphinha. This one drops into midfield when the team needs an extra body to keep the ball. This one finishes the moves he starts too. That's why Barcelona's sporting director personally traveled to Madrid to meet with his camp. That's why the club absorbs a €500 million standoff. That's why it shrugs off a €150 million bid from Real Madrid. A bid many saw as an attempt to complicate things. And that's why it stands firm against a wall of public statements from Atletico insisting he isn't for sale. Atletico has filed a formal complaint against Barcelona with FIFA and the Spanish Football Federation. The accusation is improper contact with Alvarez while he's under contract. That's how far this goes for a player some people think is replaceable. None of that happens for a squad player a club considers expendable. This was never a striker swap. It's a bet on a specific kind of football brain. The same brain made Messi's job easier in Qatar. The same brain turned Griezmann into more of a creator in Madrid. Flick believes it can now do something similar for Yamal and Raphinha in Barcelona. Barcelona doesn't want Julián Álvarez because Ferran Torres is failing. Ferran Torres had one of the best years of his career. Barcelona wants Alvarez because goals were never the whole question. They want someone who changes how everyone else around him plays. If you want to understand what a player brings to a system, instead of chasing transfer headlines, you're in the right place. That's what this channel does every week. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Next time, I want to look at the player standing right in the middle of all this, the one nobody talks about, Ferran Torres himself. What happens to his career if this move goes through? And if you haven't seen it yet, check out my recent video, Why Rodri is the Best Midfielder of His Generation. It's linked right after this one.